Well, in 4 days' time, the Third Eye Awakening Veto and Clover are going to be releasing for global. 2 new pickups, just after Blackcaster, of course. And, well, I mean, let's be honest, this might be probably the worst performing double banner that we might get. So right now, obviously, they're showing off Third Eye Awakening Veto, but as we're all aware, Clover will also release beside him. So it's going to be a double pickup between the two. I'm going to take a look at the gears, and I'm just going to give my final thoughts, because I mean, it's kind of, I feel like for the most part, most will kind of, let's be honest, skip. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, Third Eye Awakening Veto. It's sad, but as someone who's a fan of Veto, I'm hoping for the seasonal version of Veto, whenever that's going to be actually somewhat good. But anyway, we got our boy Veto. Unfortunately, this man is just, honestly, collection value, if anything. So his first skill, attacked after granting a 40% increased damage dealt as a buff in proportion to the lost HP. So he is working off from him losing HP in order to obviously get that increased damage. It is single target. When it comes to the second skill, with the Greymoor, of course, he gets himself a body enhancement buff for 2 turns, and that body enhancement basically gives him a 100% defense with 30% endurance. On top of that, grants 50% of max HP as HP recovery, so obviously make sure that his HP is also high up there so you can capitalize on that. And with the Greymoor, you then grant yourself a Fortify level 2 for 2 turns. So realistically, that second skill is making him a pretty disgusting tank. I'm gonna be completely honest. So obviously he is a green tank, so there's that. And then the ultimate itself, he has a 40% chance to inflict enhanced taunt on the enemy for 2 turns. Obviously this is also an AoE attack. Enhanced taunt attacks the target who casts taunt and causes him to restore 10% of max HP. You can boost it up, as you guys can see, by getting to level 5, so you can get an additional 30% added on top of the 40%. And then on the second skill, you can get that additional 5% HP recovery once you get it to level 4. The rest will work in value of the defense buff, and I think that's it, yeah. Oh, okay, so the endurance doesn't get affected, it's just a defense buff. So you can get an additional 45%. Not too shabby. The combination skill, inflicts a magic attack reduction level 5 debuff. So I mean, again, that could work in your favor. I mean, a level 5 is pretty big too, so there's that. Now, when it comes to the passives himself, unique passive, he does gain immortality once he hits that 30% mark on his HP. So again, that I mean, if anything, that is pretty solid to have in terms of how much this Veto can actually restore his own health back. So that will actually just give him time to kind of recuperate the HP. So yeah, it's not too bad. And then the passives themselves, LR+2, upon taking damage, grants a 3% damage reduction for each active debuff present, and then stays the same, but the percentage goes up. That's pretty much it. Don't really need to concern yourself with LR passives, if I'm being completely honest. So there's that. So that's pretty much Veto in a nutshell. When it comes to Veto's Greymoor, basically gives himself an additional endurance. Starts at 7%. If you completely max out his Greymoor, it goes to 15%, and on top of that, he gets a 5% crit resistance. So realistically, it's just the endurance being going up pretty mid. Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest. Nothing too crazy. But yeah, the Fortify is getting added onto the second skill. So that is Veto in a nutshell. And then, of course, when it comes to Clover himself, the character that is also going to be releasing beside the Third Eye Awakening Veto, of course. So on his first skill, grants an increase defense level 1 to the ally with the lowest HP for 2 turns. So that's a 105% increase. That's not too bad. Second skill is actually pretty nice, I'll be completely honest. So grants a designated ally and self 15% of max HP as a barrier for 2 turns. If you do work on the levels, as you guys can see, you can get additional percentages on the barrier, which is something which I would say to do. Grants a designated ally protection for 1 turn. Grants a designated ally increased all attack level 2 for 2 turns. So the level 2 all attack comes in through the Greymoor itself, just an FYI. But the protection obviously cannot be selected as target of an attack. It's not too bad to have. Kind of weird. Well, then again, you can have your barrier still on for the additional turn. So yeah, there we go. The ultimate is very, very clutch, because not only do you apply Fortify level 3 to all of your allies, but you also grant a designated ally invulnerability to the ally with the lowest HP for 3 turns. Now, this could work with a certain somebody, if you know what I mean, but just in general, when it comes to your main attackers, you've got that protection going on right there, and then that fortify is just a bit of a bonus, of course. And then when it comes to the combination skill, 80% chance to inflict buff prevention on a designated enemy for 2 turns, so obviously they can't obtain any buffs. That could work. I mean, that is pretty effective. I've had this actually come in clutch in certain occasions with like boss fights and whatnot. And then of course when it comes to unique passive, max HP increased by 10%, that's pretty helpful for the second skill. And then the passives for LR duping, again, not really necessarily needed, but it's just an additional help. So 10% damage reduction when you're at 100% HP, and then if you completely max him out, 20% damage reduction when HP is at 100%. So that's pretty much Gul'dan in a nutshell. And then with his Greymore, 25%, and if you max it out, 40% to remove 1 to 2 debuffs for self when being attacked. So 25% to remove 1 debuff from self when being attacked. If you max it, 40% chance to remove 2 debuffs from self when being attacked. Again, don't really need to concern yourself with this, to be honest. I mean, the additional all attack is very helpful in terms of using this skill on an ally that is, you know, doing damage, you know, an attacking offensive character. So that's the additional bonus I would say that I do truly love about the Greymore itself, with how helpful it can be. So that's Veto and Gul'dan in a nutshell with how these two characters are working. Now, they are both green units, and I'm going to be completely honest, as I am a fan of Veto, between the two, I would say you'll have more success for Gul'dan being a green supporter. He's just that little bit more helpful and a little bit more beneficial with PvE. Both of these units aren't exactly PvP, although I wouldn't say that with Gul'dan. I mean, you could maybe try it with Gul'dan on PvP. I feel like you might be able to cook something up with him. Like, it's not the end of the world, although these characters are not meta in any way. I will say that right now. Veto, unfortunately, is just a character that doesn't really, or never really got his usage. Now, I have seen Veto actually work pretty decently for a tank to just consistently have HP coming through to where he doesn't die. And obviously with the showcases that I do and whatnot, when I build them up, you guys will see. But it's not all too terrible from this man. It's just unfortunate where things are right now with the green mono. Even when he did initially release, Veto just didn't hit, unfortunately. There wasn't any good usage for him. But yeah, I've had more success from actually having Gul'dan available for me to kind of use as his second skill is very beneficial, as well as his ultimate invulnerability really did help me out, of course. So yeah, in cases between the two, if you were truly deciding on who to go for, your best bet will be for Gul'dan if you really want to kind of make good use. Now, talking about these two characters, obviously, if you're really not wanting either of them, that's completely fine. Like I said, these two characters didn't really hit the mark. You know, even to this day, I'm gonna be honest, you don't typically ever see them. It was only just recently, I would say, I was kind of getting Gul'dan back in just to kind of try something out with just stacking up Fortify. But outside of just, you know, in general with how these characters were at the very beginning, they were just not on. It was kind of like a fall off within I don't know, a couple of days from their release. It seems that the developers themselves they might do something different. So Vanilla has come out and I mean, this was said a while back, but pretty much there has been some test passives between the two, to where characters are now going to be able to have buffs. So to give you guys an example, the Veto test passive, X% chance to grant remove X debuff to yourself when getting hit. And then the additional passive was 75% increased chance to get additional Yule. Oh, sorry, no, I think this is Gul'dan. I'm pretty sure. And then, of course, I think the last one is Veto. So grants... No, I think... Wait. No, I'm so confused. Yeah, no, so I think the first one is Gul'dan and the second one is Veto. Grants X% barrier of your attack for X turns when recovering HP. 10% increased chance to get additional gear. So basically the sell point, because I'm pretty sure that the developers know that these boys aren't going to be a hit, so this could be a thing to where the incentive now is that these guys hold buff percentages. So obviously, for example, if Veto does get that, I assume the last one is for Veto, right? Wait, does Veto have any debuff removal? No, he doesn't. Okay, either way, let's just say if Veto does have that last passive, then by running this character on a gear run, you'll get that additional 10%. If you apply that with your guild percentage, that's an additional 12%, so you got 22% chance. Put the food in, you got a 52% chance to get LR gears, and at that point, the consistency of LR gear drops is going to be pretty OP, because already with the guild gear drop alongside with the food gear drop, I will admit I am getting a ton of LR gears already just by those two alone. So to get that additional 10%, that might just kind of push people over the edge to be like, let me just get one copy. At that point, that's the incentive. Let me just get that one copy so I get that additional 10%. And then of course 75% to get increased chance to get additional Yule. I mean, gold is going to be highly essential for global when it comes to like when you're having to transcendence gears and whatnot. Maybe some of you guys are already struggling for gold, so to have that huge additional, again, that's the sell point in what they're probably going to be adding with characters that aren't exactly that of a necessary of a necessity to have for your account. So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now with this on what global. Actually, hold on, let me double check. Have they added it in already? I don't think they have, because it's a test passive. Let me just double check. No, so that's the addition level 1. It goes to 7%. Okay, no, that hasn't changed. 30%. Okay, no, that hasn't changed. Is it on the grey wall? No. Okay. Alright, so okay, yeah, maybe it's going to be that 125 passive that they've been talking about. That could be it, who knows. But they haven't added it in. Maybe they'll add it in when global goes live with it. Maybe that's going to be a thing. But just to mention it now, there could be an additional thing where characters are now going to have certain buffs. So just be on the edge. But outside of that, I mean, still, I would honestly not really recommend going for these characters. But if I had to, I think I'll be more over for Gouldre, as he is more of a better character to get your usage from over having Veto, to be honest. So anyway, that's just kind of briefly talking about the boys themselves. But again, I'll do my showcases. I'll show you guys ahead of time what these characters are looking like. I'll do the build videos so you guys get a bit of a foundation. But yeah, just overall unfortunate skip. But again, between the two, Gouldre will be the choice. But if we are also looking into the fact that they might be adding additional buffs, I'm hunting for that increased 10% additional gear drop.